Randy, and we'll go right back to our phone callers. Next up, Ken in Wood River, Illinois. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Hank. I was wondering if you could tell me, was the nation of Israel in 1948, is that any significance from the Bible point of view?
Well, there's no significance whatsoever as far as fulfilled prophecy is concerned.
Yes.
And even those who thought it had significance from that perspective have found out that this isn't true, because what they presumed at that time and were prophesying all over the Christian television and radio airwaves and in books and print was that you would add a generation to 1948 and you'd come up with 1988, subtract 7 years for a pre-tribulational rapture, and you'd get all the way back to 1981. And so they were quite certain that they had figured out the time that Jesus Christ would come in the secret coming and rapture them. Well, none of them left in the rapture, and so they thought, wow, I guess this couldn't have been the time. And so they were conflicted and confused until 1967 came along, and then they said, wow, that's the magical date, because now the state of Israel has control of Jerusalem through the Six-Day War, and they added 40 years to 1967, subtracted 7, came up with the year 2000, which coincided with the millennium bug, and they thought, wow, now we've hit the magic number. Well, that didn't turn out so well either, and so now they've started to postulate that maybe generation is not 40 years, maybe it's 50 years. Jack Van Impe is saying it's 52-point-something years, and he's come up with a date. That date has come and gone, and his prophecy has failed. So a lot of people are rethinking their prophetic madness.
Right, I agree. He's really good straightening people out in their thinking.
Yeah, and look, this whole idea is an idea that is a misconception that has a historical precedent, because there was a time that the disciples of Christ themselves believed that Jesus Christ was going to establish Jerusalem as the capital of a sovereign Jewish empire. In fact, that notion was so ingrained in their psyches that even as Jesus was about to ascend into heaven, they said, Lord, are you at this time going to restore the kingdom of Israel? What did Jesus do? He not only corrected this erroneous thinking, but he expanded their horizons from a tiny strip of land on the east coast of the Mediterranean to the far reaches of the earth. He said, you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses. And then he was very clear in pointing out, not only in Jerusalem, but in Judea, Samaria, and indeed to the ends of the earth. In effect, Jesus left his disciples with instructions to exit Jerusalem, to embrace the earth, and to never again entertain the thought of establishing an earthly Jerusalem. As Paul put it, it's not the Jerusalem below, but the Jerusalem above that is free and is our mother. So this whole notion of establishing an earthly Jerusalem is actually a pretext for disbelieving that Christ has fulfilled all the prophecies, that he is the one that fulfills temple, priest, sacrifice, land, Jerusalem. All of that is fulfilled in Jesus Christ.
Yes. Thank you very much.
You got it. Thank you so much for your call. And I've written about this in my book, The Apocalypse Code. Find out what the Bible really says about the end times and why it matters today. The Apocalypse Code, available through the Ministry of the Christian Research Institute. You can check it out on the web at equip.org. The disciples were no longer permitted to view Israel in exclusivistic parochial categories. Their sights instead had to be elevated to an inclusive Israel. That's what Paul says in the book of Romans. Not all who are descended from Israel are Israel. Not because they are his descendants are they all Abraham's children. True Israel consists of people from every tribe and language and people and nation. In fact, at the Jerusalem Council, James identifies this new covenant reality as the antitypical fulfillment of the well-known prophecy that God would restore David's fallen tent. And though Amos's prophecy was fulfilled in the far future when a remnant of Israel was restored to the land, James interprets this fulfillment as a type that finds its ultimate resolution not in a future restoration of national Israel to the land, but in the inclusive nature of both the Jew and Gentile in the church. Now, that's not my opinion. That is precisely what the text is telling us. James is underscoring the reality that Abram was not to be the father of a nation, but the father of many nations through whom all the world would be blessed. When God promises Abraham, "I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all the peoples on earth will be blessed through you," such blessings, such cursings pertain not simply to the faithful remnant of ethnic Israel, but to true Israel, which consists of every person who through faith has been adopted into the family of God. So just as God's promise to Abraham was fulfilled when the gospel went out from Jerusalem to all the earth, so God's promise to David and his descendants that he would sit on the throne forever was fulfilled when Christ, the Son of David, ascended to the throne of the heavenly Jerusalem and established his rule, his reign over all the earth. Of course, the Apostle Peter drove that point home on the day of Pentecost when he made this very proclamation to his fellow Jews. Again, I've written about this in the book, The Apocalypse Code. Find out what the Bible really says about the end times and why it matters today.